live, and if you're watching us, then welcome. Going live is always really funny for me because you never quite know when it's about to start. So if you're listening to this on the podcast recording, which you might well be, as we go live, you press start and then you never quite know when it's live. It's not, there's no countdown, there's no 3, 2, 1, there's none of that. So I always start off mumbling to myself, and then I see we're live, and that's always very interesting. Anyway, so welcome. It is Friday. Hope you're well today. If you can join us, please let me know who you are, where you're from. Here we go. Let me find the right banner. There you are. Say hi. Let me know that you're here. Let me know your name as well. We're going to cover some of the weekly wins. We'll do that later, but there's a couple of other things that I want to just go through. Mindset-wise, if that's all right. If you've got a question about mindset, by the way, let me just put that banner up as well. If you've got a question about mindset, then please let me know what that is. Obviously, NLP master for the last 8 years, maybe 9 years, and everything I do basically revolves around NLP in one form or another, either from my own personal use or when I'm dealing with clients and making sure that I'm pushing whichever buttons I need to push with a particular client to get the result that we need, then that's definitely what happens as well. But we've got a lot of experience on the mindset stuff, and obviously we're fairly successful, so we can cut through some of the bullshit that people struggle with from time to time and get really to the crux of the criteria that's stopping someone from being successful, whatever success might look like. And it could look like all sorts of different things for all sorts of different people. For me, it's about having time freedom, it's about having financial freedom, it's about having health freedom, it's about not being curtailed by someone else's opinion or by someone else's rules or by the fact that I've not looked after myself. So to give you an example of time freedom, today is my daughter's 5th birthday, and one of the beautiful things about that is that here in Spain, when we go and have a birthday for one of the kids, you get to go and have lunch with them and their class at their school, which is really weird as well, by the way. This would never happen in the UK, of course, but we get to go and sit with them over lunch, and then, you know, she had lunch and then she went and had ballet, and then I went and sat in on the ballet. The point here is that that's time freedom. We're here on a Friday. I don't have to do that. This morning I had an hour and a half of basketball, which we're going to talk a little bit about. I don't think you can see it if you're looking, but this finger here is damaged from a basketball game on Wednesday night. We are going to talk to you about that. One of the things I'm proud of. But in winning the game, I ended up injuring myself. But we'll talk about that and whether it was worth it or not a little bit later. But before we do all of that, I want to talk to you about some aspects of mindset. The first one is your reticular activation system. So this is all NLP type stuff. Your reticular activation system basically means that when you think about it and when you focus on something, the brain, when it's walking through life and it spots stuff, it will delete, distort, or generalize whatever it sees. And so let's give you an example. Let's say that you're about to buy a bright blue Mondeo estate. Let's just say that. So let's use the Porsche 911. Let's use a bit more fancy car. When I was buying my bright yellow 911 convertible, which I absolutely adored, by the way, 17 years ago is that car. But when I first bought that, I did so much research on it. I was checking out prices on Auto Trader, and then I watched Top Gear, and then a bright yellow convertible on there. And then, you know, I would be out and about and I'd see bright yellow Porsches everywhere. It was crazy. You know, how often do you see bright yellow Porsches? Well, actually, probably quite a lot, despite the fact that the bright yellow, and most people don't buy bright yellow. And so that's your reticular activation system, because it deletes everything else that's not relevant and just focuses on the one thing that was relevant to me at that time, which was a bright yellow Porsche 911 convertible. So the brain is deleting everything else. This is why you should be writing down your goals. Is because if you set yourself a goal to say £10,000 a month, the brain, as it goes through life, will begin to delete, distort, or generalize everything that's not to do with you hitting £10,000 a month. So let's say that you want to you want to lose 10 kilograms before Christmas. But what, 8 weeks before Christmas? Oh, 6 weeks before Christmas. Let's say you want to lose, let's say 6 kilos, a kilo a week, more than doable, by the way, if you're fasting, and we've spoken about that. But if that's your goal, everything that you see on news, on Twitter, on Facebook, when you're walking through life, well, your brain is going to delete, distort, or generalize based on the information of the goals that you've told it to focus on. So it literally deletes everything that's not to do with the thing that you want to focus on. This is why writing down your goals is massive in terms of helping. And not just writing down your goals, but actually closing your eyes and imagine you being sat right there in that moment, hearing the sounds around you, seeing it through your own eyes, and feeling as though you're right there in that moment, having achieved that goal. That is the modern type of goal setting. And so when you start doing that and you start allaying feelings onto the goal, then what happens is when you're walking through life, anything that's going to move you closer to that goal, your brain will go, hang on, have you seen this over here? And it will help you find those things. And anything that's nothing to do with that goal, it will delete, it will distort, it will generalize, and it will get rid of various bits that's not important. And that actually leads me to a funny thing that I saw this week on Facebook. And it was someone into law of attraction. And is law of attraction a thing? Do you really want to know? Like, my opinion is it's complete and utter bollocks. And I'll tell you why. Okay. Law of attraction and your reticular activation system are exactly the same thing. Okay. Your reticular activation system, it gets rid of anything that you don't want, and therefore you see what you do want. Okay. Law of attraction, this was the funny thing that I saw today, this week on Facebook. Someone was doing research on law of attraction, and then they said something like, wow, it must work because on my Facebook feed, I keep getting stuff about law of attraction. And I'm like, that's just Facebook pixels retargeting you. And you try telling people that, and actually this didn't happen. I didn't get any abuse back, but I was like, actually, I think you'll find that's just Facebook marketing, just, redoing it. But it's like, if you didn't know that was Facebook retargeting, you'd think, wow, that's really amazing. I was on that website, now it's showing up on my Facebook feed. No, it's just somebody retargeting you. And the whole law of attraction thing, I've done it with car parking spaces, where you're hoping that you get a car parking space close to the thing where you're going. So you're praying, or you get a car parking space, get a car parking space. You're bringing it into your conscious awareness. And then as you pull up, wow, there's a car parking space. And we call this is a bias, by the way. This is, what's the word? Can't remember the word. There's a particular bias that goes on. So you basically delete every time you didn't find a car parking space, and that one time you did find a car parking space, or 2 or 3 times out of the 100, you're like, wow, a car parking space, that's law of attraction. And it's not, it's just an empty car parking space. Get over it. So, but is law of attraction and your reticular activation system, are they working on the same level? Absolutely. Like I said, if you're going out there and looking for something, your brain is aware that it's looking for it. It will delete everything that's not in alignment to that, and it will bring forward anything that is in alignment with your goals. And that's how that stuff works. So I just find it really interesting that people are onto law of attraction type of stuff, and yet they don't really understand how law of attraction works with your reticular activation system. And I guess, why would they? I was watching, by the way, it was on Marvel. It was one of the Marvel TV shows on Netflix, not the one with all the superheroes, Iron Man in it, but it was like the TV series. I can't remember what it was called. But in it, they use this system talking about science and dreaming, and they're going, oh, it's going into a reticular activation system, and therefore the dreams are coming real. And I had to laugh because I was probably the only person on the planet going, hang on a minute, that's reticular activation system. That's got to do with goal setting, not to do with. Anyway, I thought that was quite funny. But as you get more educated about this stuff, and you should do, but law of attraction books, for some reason, they don't talk about the reticular activation system. It's the same goddamn thing. Talk about it. And more than talking about it, write down your goals and allow your brain to delete, distort, and generalize anything that's not relevant to you, and allow your brain to focus in, to be attracted to, magnetized to the things that are relevant to you. You're not attracted or magnetizing anything. Your brain's just spotted it. So think about right now, think about your little toe on your left foot. Think about that for a second. Like, there's a million things going on right now, okay? A million things. People around you, the sounds, the smells, your heartbeat, your little toe on your left foot. But a second ago, you weren't even consciously aware of it. Now I've made you consciously aware of it. It is in your conscious awareness, okay? Now you're thinking about your left toe, right? Your little toe on your left foot. That's reticular activation system. That's law of attraction. That's actually how all that stuff works. There's a million different things going on. The brain can only cope with like basically 7 bits of information per second, something like that. But it's getting 14 million bits per second coming in. It's overload. So it has to delete, distort, or generalize. It has to get rid of all this stuff, okay? So it's not 7 bits per second. I can't remember how much the numbers are. But it's irrelevant anyway. The point is that your brain is constantly deleting information, but it can't cope with. Like right now, the dog is asleep on the sofa, okay? Now, if I listen carefully, I can probably hear her snoring. But she's sat there. There's another breathing being in this room with me, and yet it's not in my conscious awareness until now. I can see her, and she's fast asleep probably. How she sleeps through this is anyone's guess. But that's law of attraction. You are deleting the stuff that's not relevant. I'm focused on you right now. I'm focused on what am I going to talk about next? What are the words coming out? Is this interesting for people listening, etc., etc., etc. So you've got to get into your minds about the difference between law of attraction and a reticular activation system. Joe Fox is in the house, everybody. Let's all say hi to Joe. Hey, Joe, hope you're well. Hope you had a good day. Have you got some wins lined up for me this week? If you could put them into the box, that would be useful. I'm going to share mine in a few minutes. But I just wanted to rant about law of attraction because I think it's bollocks, and reticular activation systems. Now, actually, they're probably the same thing. But also the funny story about how people are saying on Facebook, wow, adverts about law of attraction. That must be law of attraction. No, it's just Facebook retargeting. Anyway, let's go through. So we've done reticular activation system. That's one of the things I wanted to get through today. We talked about law of attraction, which is kind of like the same thing as well. And we talked about that. And we also talked about the funny stuff on Facebook about law of attraction, how it must really work, but actually it's not. It's just really funny how some people think that that is law of attraction. It's completely the wrong thing based on technology. I just find it very funny. So let's have a look and see what's mine. I'll just grab a quick drink here. You'll notice, by the way, that's Coke. It's Coke Zero. Coke Zero still fires off my insulin, makes me fat. And the more you fire off your insulin, the fat you get, basically. But I'm in between fasting right now because I had lunch with my 5-year-old at their school. And then we've got a birthday weekend. So Valencia tomorrow, and then on Sunday we've got an Elsa party. Yes, Elsa from Frozen will be turning up to my 5-year-old's birthday party at a themed party. So there's lots of food, lots of sweets. So I'm actually eating lots of junk today, tomorrow, and the next day, and that's fine. I'll probably fast Sunday night all the way through to Wednesday, and then at some point I am jumping on a plane and I'm going to England next week. We've got Comic-Con in Birmingham, which will be jolly good fun. Thursday on the 14th. So we've got Comic-Con next weekend, and then the following week we've got the National Achievers Congress in Birmingham. On the 19th and 20th. So if you're in Birmingham and you want to catch up, then we're probably going to do some sort of networking at some point. It'd be nice to see you there. So anyway, yeah, I'm breaking fast at the moment, and then fasting again tonight, and then eating crap again tomorrow because my kid's birthday, fasting tomorrow night, and then eating crap again the next day because we've got this birthday party lined up anyway. Okay, wins. Let's crack on with some of those wins. So a funny week for me, and last week I didn't write down my goals that I wanted to achieve. I don't know why that was. It just never happened, okay? So it's just good proof that even we fall off the wagon from time to time. And do you know what? It's all right. If that happens, it's no big deal. This week on the fasting, I had a pizza last night. It's not fasting at all. Not only is that not fasting, it's carbs. And of the worst possible kind, not complex carbs, or it's just a fat pizza, basically what I had. And that's okay, it helps me keep my calories up, and then once we hit next week and we fast again, start dropping more weight. But this week's just been a little bit off, and I have absolutely no idea why. So the next thing I will be doing as soon as we finish here is printing off my goals for the week, which I've got written down, and start filling in the forms for the business and the property and that kind of thing. Anyway, let's hit you up with some goals. So one of the biggies this week was increased group members in the mastermind group. Up to 223. We had an extra, I don't know what it was actually, because I sent an email out earlier on, maybe an extra 15 this week, so that's quite nice. And we're slowly and steadily just growing the group. And this group is here, and it's designed for you, basically. And it's not designed for you just to come and watch, but it's designed for you to come and join in. If you've got a question, so like the property cash flow show, we get lots of questions coming through, which is really cool. But if you've got a question on mindset or anything else, then please, this is your forum to do it. So don't be afraid of doing that. So we've increased the group members. We moved for property sourcing training. We made a decision a few weeks ago to make that into a completely free of charge training course, which we've done, and I can put the link up for that on there. But that's at daniellatto.co.uk/property sourcing. If you jump on that, got to fill in the form, so we've got your email address so we know who you are, and then that'll redirect you to the actual training. There's 90 videos on there. I said 80 yesterday in the podcast, I think, but there's 90 videos on there. I'll show you from start to finish how to start property sourcing, and it looks like we're about to start working with a new client on their digital media that's going to be very relevant to people who've got deals, and will help them sell those deals. But all will be revealed if and when we take on that client. But yeah, the property sourcing thing is really interesting. In the last week alone, I think we had like 62 people sign up for that. So lots of people signing up for it, which is great. What worries me about that is that people sign up for it, and then when I log into the back end, people are not consuming the information. This is one of the downsides of offering something for free, is that people they'll sign up for something because it's free, and then they'll file it away. You've only got 90 days, and then it expires, and then you can't access it again. Okay, so once it expires, it's gone. So people sign up for stuff, and I do this myself. I sign up for stuff going, when I get a spare moment, I'll probably do that. And we all know what happens to those spare moments. There's no such thing as a spare moment these days, is there? Our lives are so chock-a-block full. I'm sure 100 years ago we said the same thing, but that's definitely what's going on right now. So we've had some very good business results anyway, property sourcing, people signing up, and there's some people, they've gone through all 90 videos in like a couple of days, and they're like, you know, they're really, really focused. And then other people pick and choose individual little videos to watch because that's where they happen to be stuck, and that's really good as well. But the bigger one for me, I was just working out two things. I was just working out how many hours I actually work, because I thought that was quite interesting. Because I say things like, I work 20 hours a week, don't you know? And then actually, when I actually look at how many hours I work, we're talking about 2 a day. Sometimes it's more than that, and sometimes it's none a day, sometimes it's less than that. But I reckon on average, it's about 2 hours a day. And I can get an awful lot done in 2 hours because I've got a whole team of people sat there waiting for me to tell them what to do, which is very good. So videos and podcast editing and image creation and links and etc., etc., etc. All this stuff just simply gets done because I tell people to go get it done. And that's how we've grown the business, so that I don't have to work as much as. That's what I wanted. So that's very positive. But then the other side of this, which is even more positive, is that the time that I'm not spending on the business now allows me to spend time on making sure that my body is a temple. I'm eating better, eating properly. My exercise is definitely up. This week was lower. A couple of reasons for that I'll get into. Last week was probably the busiest week of exercising I've had in 5 or 6 years. You know, I played basketball 3 times. I went swimming twice. I went cycling once. I did weights 4 times. Like, there's a big difference going on, and actually that's where I'm spending most of my time. So with that in mind, then this week got out on the bike again. That was really good. Not a very far one, just 6 or 7 miles, just to get back on it and kind of get used to cycling again and so on. Find out what I need to learn, find out what I'm comfortable with, find out what's not working so well, which are questions you should be asking yourself in business. So that was very good. I also got the swimming in, and we got 2 times 500-meter sessions, which was nice for someone who can't swim very well. I was speaking to the people at Loughborough Sports University to see if I can take a look at my swimming and yell at me a bit to try and improve that, because I can't breathe underwater. And then the big one was we had a basketball game on Wednesday. We're going to finish up on this, by the way. And I wrote a post about the game after I played the game. So first game of the season, everyone's a little bit unfit, everyone's a little bit crap. My shooting was off. I scored 11 points out of 45. A friend of mine scored 14, which was really good. So between us, we scored more than half. There used to be a time when I used to score half the points just generally, but obviously a bit older by 20 years, so that happens less. I was 1 from 10 from 3-point line, dreadful 3-point shooting, just couldn't hit anything. I was 2 from 6 from the free throw line, which was dreadful shooting. I should be a 90% free throw shooter, have been in the past. Hit a couple of layups, but I got my 11 points. Anyway, there's 22 seconds left, and we're 1 point down, and one of our guys takes the shot, and he misses the shot. Game over. Or is it? Super Dan steps in and rips off his shirt, Superman outfit underneath. Oh, that didn't happen. But I went in, got the rebound. One guy was 6'4", another guy was 6'1". I'm 5'7". They had their hands on the ball. I got the ball, ripped it, grunting, ripped it out of their hands, passed it to Diego, who then went and scored the winning shot. And he looked at me and was like, "You just won the game." I'm like, "I know." And so we won a basketball game through the shortest guy on court getting an offensive rebound and passing it to my mate Diego. I can't explain the feelings. I've won games before, by the way, on last-second shots, and that is an amazing feeling, and you feel like Michael Jordan and all the rest of it. But this was different, because I didn't hit the game-winning shot, but if I'd not done that work on the offensive rebounds, we wouldn't have had the shot to do. But I jammed my finger. You can't tell there. It's a little bit blue. I've literally jammed the finger, and it's twice as big as my other fingers is this one. So I jammed the finger. And then afterwards, and I'm in a lot of pain. I didn't sleep well that night. I'd iced it, and I was in a lot of pain. And I woke up the next day, and I was like, was it worth it? Was it worth damaging yourself for that victory? And of course, it's Dan, isn't it? So I'm like, hell yeah, woo! And it's totally worth it. And sometimes you've got to sacrifice yourself in some way in order to get the W, to get the win. You've got to injure yourself in some way to get the win. I'm not saying you go out and purposely injure yourself. I'm just saying sometimes in life, you've got to step up to the plate and go, I don't want to lose this game. The game of life, the game of money, the game of relationships, whatever that game is for you, sometimes the sacrifice comes through. And I see people when we're working 80-hour weeks, that right there is the sacrifice. And don't get me wrong, I might work 2 hours a day right now. It's not always been like that. I've definitely been, 40, 50 hours a week at one job and working 20, 30 hours a week at another job. It's 80 hours, literally 7 days a week. All you do is work. I've been there as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. As long as that's not where you plan to stay for the rest of your life. But the point here is that if I can do that, the shortest guy on a basketball court, who's still a bit overweight, even though I've lost 8 kilos, and still unfit, and I'm 47, and there's younger kids playing this game, and I go up and take the ball off 2 much bigger guys, pass it to the open man so we can win that game, there's more that you can be doing in this game of life as well. And so then the question is, what are you prepared to give up in order for you to win that game? For me, I jammed my finger. Not only did I jam that finger, my thumb, which you can't see, I had a cheese grater incident where I'm grating cheese, and the cheese grater went kind of halfway down the nail on the thumb. And I'm like, what's that about? And it was agony. And then I lost the nail. I lost like a quarter of the nail. And then I had to cut the nail off with like tweezers and things. It was dreadful. And I had to play with that, and then I jammed myself a finger. But you know what? It's just the sacrifices you've got to make in this world. If that's what you want, if you want the victory, and bear in mind that's one game out of the whole season, but we wanted that win. Sometimes this is what you got to do. You got to step up to the plate and you've got to take the sacrifice, you've got to take the hits, and it's fine to take the hits as long as you get back up and you get going again. And I know people have had hits and they've had big hits that knock them down. They think they're never going to get back up from it. And I've been there as well, by the way. Child abduction and, 8 years in family court, spending £80,000, and everyone is against you. Trust me, I've had those hits. Revenge, by the way, is a dish best served cold. And oh yes, in 10 more years when we hit them with the revenge. Oh, it's coming, folks. Don't you worry. That is my inspiration. But you're going to have these hits. You're going to get knocked down, and it's okay to get knocked down. You've got that song in my head. I get knocked down, but I get back up again. You've got to get back up. You've got to get back up. You've got to get going again. You've got to move forward with your injuries intact. I played basketball again this morning, by the way, and I couldn't use my right hand, so I used my left hand. Okay. And the guy that I play with, I normally beat, like 11-4 or 11-6. I'm shooting 3-pointers and I'm hitting everything. Today, I'm shooting with my left hand. It doesn't even work properly. I can't even focus my arm in the right direction, whereas the right hand's easy. Can't do it with the left. So I lost the first 3 games and then I won the 4th. Heck, I even hit a 3-pointer with my left, which I've never done before. It's like a whole new skill set. But this is what we're talking about, is in these failures, you're learning all these new things. I learned that actually I've got quite a decent little hook shot that starts from down here, and it's a hook shot. I've got this weird little hook shot. And it's interesting. I can use that in a game now. And if I'd not have injured my right hand, I want to learn that I could do that. So part of you taking these hits is about you taking the hits, getting back up, learning from it, and moving forward. You can't lose when that is your attitude. If you double your efforts, there's a line in Star Trek where Worf is fighting the Jem'Hadar, and Worf is getting the crap kicked out of him. And every time he stands back up, he doesn't yield. And the Jem'Hadar says, I can't beat this Klingon. All I can do is kill him. And I love that line, because if people are trying to have a go at you and all they can do is kill you, they can't beat you. You've won. Right, they might kill you at some point, maybe, but you've won. And that's the point. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep taking a step after step after step. Doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, you get back up and you take more steps. And all this experience, by the way, which feels dreadful at the time, when I look back to 8 to 10 years ago and I look at that dreadful experience, boy, my success now is going skyward. Okay. And I call it the lost decade. I lost 10 years of success because all my focus and mental well-being was focused on getting into family court and surviving and seeing the kids and all that kind of thing. Traveling to and from Spain and England every 2 weeks. I flew 4,000 miles every single month to see my kids. Of course, you tell social workers that they either don't believe you or they're not interested because you're male and therefore shouldn't see your kids in their view. But all of that was great learning for this next stage. I'm 47, so between now and 55 and 60, we're now putting it all into place. And I'm not dying until I'm 95. Maybe more, because the way that life is changing and the way that new technologies come through for our healthcare. Dudes and dudettes, we're going to be living till we're 120. Guarantee it. And my kids, they'll be living to 130 and 140. Because we'll have nanotechnology which comes in and fixes everything. So the stuff that you're going through right now is great learnings for the stuff that you're going to go through in 10 years. You just don't know it yet. So embrace it if that's what you're going through. Anyway, I've overrun a little bit more than I wanted to, but I hope that's useful for you. Good session on the mindset and the hustle stuff and some of the wins there. We will speak to you again on Monday, where we're going to talk to you in the Business Growth and Marketing Domination Show, 12 o'clock on Monday. Come and join me for that. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you on Monday.